back to my channel, and if you're new here, then welcome. My name is Maddie, and today I'll be doing my wrap-up for what I read in February. It feels so weird to be doing a wrap-up. I haven't done a wrap-up in a year because I have not read in like a year, so I have not done any wrap-ups because of that, but I actually read some books in the month of February, so I can do a wrap-up. It's so weird, and I'm so excited to be doing one again. Hopefully there will be more to come, even though no one's asked for them, so it's like, I don't know if anyone's missed them, but it's really nice for me personally to be able to do these videos because I remember how much I loved doing them, so I've been really looking forward to filming this one. And like I said, I finally read some books in February. I read 7 books in total, which is pretty good for getting back into reading, so I'm really happy with that number. So why don't we get right into the wrap up? I'm gonna do what I used to do when I did my wrap up, is give some stats based off the books I read, and then we'll get into the actual books I read. So hopefully I remember all the stats that I used to do, but I think I got them down. So let's get into them. First, I'll share the number of pages I read in total. I actually forgot to write it down, so I'll just put it on the screen here, but hopefully it's a good number. As for the years that the books were released, 1 was released in 2016, 2 were released in 2017, 2 were released in 1998, 1 was from 1999, and 1 was released in 2018. As for the genres, I read 2 contemporary books, 3 horrors, 1 thriller, and 1 paranormal. As for the target audience for the books, I read 6 YA and 1 was an adult book. 4 of them were by female authors and 3 were by a male author. I read 4 new-to-me authors, and 3 of them were books by authors who I've read their books before. 2 of the books I read this month were rereads. And for the settings, 4 of them took place in Japan, 1 took place in Idaho in the US, 1 took place in West Virginia in the US, and 1 took place in Maryland, that is in the US. Now for the readathons I participated in 2, which these readathons are really what kickstarted my reading back up. I swear, readathons usually will put me out of a reading slump, so these ones certainly did. So the first one I participated in was Contemporary-a-thon, and then I did Thriller-a-thon. For my star ratings, I rated 5 books 5 stars and 2 books 4 stars. Okay, with those out of the way, let's get into the books that I read. I'm going to talk about my rereads first, and then I'm going to share the rest of the books in order from my least favorite to my most favorite book, even though I gave all these books either 4 or 5 stars, so there really isn't a very big least favorites, but I'll be doing it in that order anyway, since I think that's how I used to do my wrap-ups. I start with my least favorite, talk about that one, work my way up to the most favorite, save the best for last. So as for my rereads, let's talk about those first. First, I have Fruits Basket, Another Volume 1. I am rereading this series so I can do a review on it. It had been so long since I had read this series that I felt like I needed to reread it in order to review it, so that's basically why I'm doing it. And this is a spin-off series to Fruits Basket. That's the original series. So I talked about this one a lot, so I don't feel like I'm going to talk about it a lot right now, but I would recommend it as long as you've read the original series first, because you have to read the original series before getting into this one. And I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then I reread The Darkest Star by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is the first book in the Origin series. This one is a spin-off to the Lex series, which I love the Lex series, and I love this series as well, at least the first book. I reread this one because I wanted to pick up the sequel, but same case with Fruits Basket and Another. It had been so long since I read The Darkest Star that I felt like I had to reread it in order to remember everything before I moved on to the sequel, so I reread it because of that. And I also reread it because I just love this book, so I was really excited to dive back into it again. This book has to do with aliens, so if that's something you're into, you should definitely check it out, although it's not really a science fiction book or series, neither is the Lux series. It has to do with aliens who take the forms of humans, so they live on Earth. And in this book specifically, there's this one alien named Luke, and he is watching over this girl named Evie, and it's pretty much all about their relationship, and there's a lot of secrets and plot twists in this book that some of them I even forgot about. So it's really, really good. It's a great series. I would for sure recommend the Lux series as well as this one. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Now going into the books that I have not reread, there are 3. There are 1, 2, 3, because 3 of them are part of a series. So that makes 5. 5 books in total that are new to me books. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Uzumaki, which is a manga series. And I did read this one for the Thriller-a-thon. This has to be by far the weirdest and creepiest series I have ever read. And that's saying a lot because I've read a few creepy stuff, but this one, it was just freaky and so uncanny and so unnerving. Just all the descriptive words that you can associate with a creepy book is what this series is. So Uzumaki is about this town that is cursed by spirals. So each chapter deals with a different case where spirals are cursing people in ways that are just really bizarre. So there's this one where this guy turns into a snail because a snail shell has spirals. There's this one where this girl's face just turns into this mass of spiral. Just, this book will make you have a phobia of spirals. I now think of spirals so differently now. They like freak me out now because of this series. I swear the illustrations in this manga series are really, really bizarre. I'll put some of them here. Although look away if you already have a phobia of spirals, because I know that is an actual thing that I've heard about. People actually do fear spirals, which is something I never knew about before. But now this series makes me want to stay away from spirals. However, though it was creepy, that's the reason I like it. I really do love reading creepy stuff once in a while, and this one really filled my craving for something creepy to read. The only downside I have to say about this series is that it doesn't feel like a consistent plot, because each chapter feels like its own individual story, and I kind of like reading things that are more of a consistent plot where everything flows together. It doesn't start to feel whole until the last 3 chapters. I want to say the last volume in total doesn't feel like a complete consistent story, but it's still fun nonetheless. It's still something that will give you the creeps. So if you want a book that's going to make you feel that way, read this series. And I'm also excited because there will be an anime adaptation for this one coming out sometime this year. I don't know exactly when, but I'll for sure be watching it. And it is so rare that I actually read a manga before its anime adaptation comes out. The only time that's ever happened for me is with Fruits Basket. That's the only manga where I've read the manga first before I saw the reboot, not the original anime, but the reboot. So yeah, I actually get to experience that with this anime series that's going to be coming. So I can't wait for that. And I gave the first volume 5 stars, the second volume 4 stars, and I think I gave the last volume 5 stars. So it was a great series overall. I really enjoyed it, but it did give me a lot of creepy, freaked out feelings for sure. Next, I have Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia, and I read this one for the Contemporary-thon. I really love this book. I've been sitting on my shelves for so long, and I finally got to it after 2 years of just putting it off, and I'm so glad that I finally did. I was really missing out. This one is about a girl named Eliza, and she is the author of a famous webcomic that she writes and does the art for anonymously. And at school, she meets this boy who she finds out is a famous online writer of fan fiction based off of her webcomic. So they form a relationship, and all throughout, this guy named, Wallace, does not know that Eliza is the creator of this webcomic, and so that's where it takes off. It is so freaking cute. One thing that I really loved about this book is how hard it hit me, because I have this dream someday I don't know when it'll ever happen, but I do want to make it happen to where I do want to write and create my own graphic novel series someday. And because of that, I just really related to this book. I related to Eliza's love for creating her story through art and illustrations. I really related to that. And because of that, am glad that I read this book at this time, because I think if I had read this book when it first came out in 2017, it would have not hit me as hard, because back then I wasn't ever thinking about making or my own graphic novel someday. But now that I actually do want to do that sometime, this book really made me relate to it more than I think I would have ever related to it back then. So I actually am glad I read it at this time. I read it at the perfect time. Also, another thing I love about this book is that Eliza does have social anxiety, and that's also something I can really relate to. So I really liked seeing that representation in this book, and it was represented really well. And the romance was also super cute, and it was really well developed. And the only bad thing I have to say about this book is towards the end, it felt like things were really rushed, and it felt like the conclusion didn't really tie in with the rest of the story really well. So I think the pacing really faltered at the end there, but the rest of the book was great, and I still gave it a 4 out of 5 stars because I really ended up enjoying it, and it was really relatable. So if you somehow have not read this book yet, even though it's been out for a while, definitely do give it a try. I really enjoyed it. And the last one I'm going to talk about, and this was my favorite book that I read in February, is Till Death by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I read this one for Thriller-a-thon because it is a thriller book that I had been meaning to pick up for a while, because I have been meaning to get to all of Jennifer's books for a while because she's my favorite author. So I was really happy to get to this one. This one is an adult thriller, and it is about this girl named Sasha, and she is 29 years old, and she was the victim of a kidnapping by someone who also kidnapped other girls, and she was one of them. And after that incident happened, she left town because she didn't want to be in the place where that happened anymore. She just wanted to move on. But 10 years later, she comes back to town to help her mom take care of her hotel business, and it's then where things start happening again to her. The people around her start either disappearing, going missing, getting killed, and it's all stuff that has to do with her. And all this stuff is revolving around her. So obviously something's happening again, and someone may be after her, and that's what it's about. It is a great thriller book. I do not read thriller books often because usually I like thriller movies and TV shows more than books for some reason. But this one was actually really good, and I think that's just because it's by an author who I love, and I've read one of her thriller books before, and that one was also really good. That was Don't Look Back. That is also a great one. So I think she can nail thriller really good, at least to me. Another thing I liked about this one is it's actually a romantic thriller, so it has a lot of romance in it as well. So I think another reason why I liked this thriller is because romance is my favorite genre. So it had a subgenre in it that I actually really liked. So I think I was able to enjoy it more because of that. This is an older one, but if you love thrillers, then definitely give this one a try. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was really well done, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So those were the 7 books that I read in February. Hopefully next month I'll be able to read even more. I will be doing a TBR for the month of March, and hopefully I'll get to the books that are in that TBR. It'll be a very light TBR because I don't want to pressure myself to read right now, since I'm still getting back into the reading mood, but I'll still make one anyway. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you enjoyed them. I would really love to know. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more anime related videos and also book related videos every once in a while, and I'll be back really soon.